The Diode SuperGP Champions Trophy is proudly brought to you by Digital Entertainment On Demand and their associate sponsors. They get off on their warm-up lap and head round one more time to get some heat into the tyres. And then we get ready to rock and roll now for race 1 in the Super 600s. Odendaal leads the championship by 181 points over Michael White on 153 points. It's Adolf Boshoff down in third place, the Cowboy on 126. Then it's Blaise Baker, so literally 3 Kawasaki's behind the lead Yamaha. Fifth place, incredibly, is Nicole van Arswegen on her Triumph. And she leads out both Malcolm Rudman and Alan John Fenter, both of those riders out. One due to injury and one due to international duties. Ricky Lee Weir, not here this weekend. That's a big turn up for the books because I thought he would be back in action here to see the season out. I know he's planning on getting on board a 1000cc next year on a BMW and doing some testing, and I think that's actually where he ended up. He's headed across to the Free State for a round of the Extreme Festival there. Dylan Barnard, we've already seen him in action. He'll be in 6th on the track, but 9th in the championship. And then Anthony Shelley, who had a late start to the championship, is in 10th place and will certainly look to put a number 1 in front of the 28 points he's got right now.
We saw last time out, Adolf Boshoff really was the man to beat. I mean, everyone crashed, but Adolf Boshoff picked it up, and the lap times he was running in the rain were extremely good. So he's full of confidence, and he's on that front row of the grid, and he loves this track. And we've seen him win races at regional, and he's contended at national level before as well. So it's also a very good bet. We've got, like you said, potentially 5 riders that could win this race if they play it smart. You really do have to be smart because you've got to conserve tyres. It's a long race. And that man, Anthony Shelley and Michael White, are going to be up there. But Shelley, he's got such amazing bike control. If you watch him into turn 1 here, the spectators upstairs, just watch all these top 5 riders going to turn 1. You're going to see just sideways action. It's beautiful, but it's not always the way to go fast, and it's not always good on your tyres. So you really have to maintain. But when you put your head down, it's going to be about getting key, consistent laps. You cannot make a mistake because you don't want to be leading coming onto this back straight because you're going to get slipstreamed, passed on the brakes, and a block pass is so easy to do into that final chicane leading to the line. And as you know, once you go into that final chicane, there's not much room to make a move before the line.
You're not going to be able to outdrag another 600, particularly when they are so evenly matched here in the Super 600s. So this is the point that we're talking about. This is where potentially races could be lost and won by the end of the 14 laps that are about to take place here at Red Star Raceway. We're in Mpumalanga. It's the penultimate round of the Diode SuperGP Champions Trophy, and we are bringing to the line the Super 600 category for their race number 1 of the day.
Greg, I don't know about you, I've actually got butterflies.
Pretty cool, eh? Welcome to my world, but this is what I do every time.
I've got butterflies. Like,
I know you've had the experience of standing out there on a national championship podium and on the grid and stuff and enjoying it right from the rider's point of view. But let me tell you something, I do it on a weekly basis, but this is the kind of excitement we get all the time. And it's great to have you on with us, buddy. It really has been super. Now, as they get lined up, it's Odendaal who's got it all to do. Can anybody outgun him? Watch out for Shelley from the second row. Those 2 riders, both on Yamahas, potentially the best starters in the country. And it is a super start out of the Neolife powered by Yamaha team. Round the outside, yes indeed, it's a second Yamaha, and it's Yamaha's 1s and 2. Ooh. Oh, and a little touch between Shelley and Boshoff. Boshoff runs Shelley wide. It wasn't intentional. Shelley was just on the outside of Adolf Boshoff, and up on the inside into turn 2 goes Baker. Round the outside comes Shelley. Shelley trying to sneak through and resume that position into second. He's only able to go up 1 position, get past on Barnard incredibly. Dylan Barnard is running in 5th place. What a start to this race.
Terrible start from Michael White. Great start from that man out front. Oh, Shelley trying to make the pass. He went into turn 1, had to adjust his position because of Odendaal. Boshoff took advantage of that and they touched. And that's left Stephen Odendaal out front by himself. But Boshoff is going to close that gap. Blaise Baker and Anthony Shelley, that was aggressive riding from him because he knew he had to make up the positions. And Michael White behind, like you said, the great starting. Dylan Barnard, great ride there. Lorero trying to adjust something down the back straight there, but they now have to play catch up to Stephen Odendaal out front.
Odendaal just stayed out of trouble, got the whole shot and got it done. We used to call him the pocket rocket because he was one of the smallest riders in the pack at one stage, and particularly on a Suzuki when he was on board the Suzuki powered machines, he was incredible off the lines. He's got this Yamaha working just as well as the Suzukis that he used to get off the line so well on. So it's now up to these 2 Kawasaki's, and I was going to mention it on the grid, but I didn't quite bring it in just yet. Remember the last time we came here, Baker made very uncharacteristic mistakes, both into the chicane and into, I think it was turn 4, and cost him massive amount of points and potential race wins.
Unfortunately, we've seen that too often this season from Blaise Baker. Last time out in East London, he also made those mistakes. But really on the pace, we know he's got the talent, but he just needs to make it stick. As Shelley down the back straight tries to go on the brakes to pick up in that third position, you can see Shelley wants to make the move because he knows he's got the pace to run with Oudendal. He's made the move. That's Baker now has been demoted back to 4th place, and it's up to Boshoff now and Shelley, and I think Baker can hang there. Michael White, unfortunately, already has lost the toe. Not a good start from the Kawasaki man.
Yeah, but he made up a little bit in the second part of the lap there, Rob. He's up to 5th place, so not too far off the back, but unfortunately now, as you know, he's on his own, and to try and work on your own to bridge a gap is not as easy as when you've got 3 riders and you can use the slipstreams and get slightly more pace out of your motorcycle. White is not too far back. There you can see him coming into turn 2 with Barnard on his tail. Behind them, it's Doran Leroux. A magic start there from Daz. He's really got to grips with National Championship racing pretty well. And inspect up into 2nd place. How was that move? Thanks for coming, Yamaha 1 and 2.
Anthony Shelley, did you see that? I saw it out of the commentating window here. He went into the right-handed turn 2, and he's done it. I've seen him do it 1,000 times. He holds that wider line and just stuck it on the inside of Boshoff into turn 3. Nothing Boshoff could do. Shelley looks like a man on the mission. The only problem is now he has to use up tyres to close down on Stephen Oudendal at front. But Shelley is one of the riders that can ride on used tyres. He's got such amazing bike control. You can already see him sliding the bike everywhere. That's not the tyres letting go. That's just the way he likes to ride. And that is why he has gelled so much with this R6.
Loose and out of control, is like they say on Days of Thunder, and that makes him fast. So that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's trying to get as fast as he can to close the gap between himself and the number 1 rider up front. 2nd place is still up for grabs though, because Boshoff hasn't let him go. And in fact, if Boshoff is clever, he will ride with the Yamaha and let him tow him up to the front and make it a 3-way battle. Baker's fallen back ever so slightly. That mistake somewhere on track and maybe just rattled him when the 2 riders came through on him. He's now looking back to see how far back Michael White is. I can tell you that's how close it is.
Let's see if Boshoff is going to take your advice and stick behind him. Yes, he does for now. Shelley, so late. Look at that. Absolutely sideways. He runs a bit wide and Boshoff takes advantage. But sideways action there from Anthony Shelley down the back straight. But that really did cost him. He lost a lot of time there and the position to Adolf Boshoff as they come down the straight. It is still Stephen Oudendal out front. And it looks like he's pulling away. Oh, Boshoff sideways into turn 1 with Shelley just behind him. What did I say? Watch into turn 1. Sideways action. But Stephen Oudendal is doing what he needs to do at the moment. He's kept a clean nose and he's out front.
Yeah, the little battle here for 2nd place is slowing the riders down and allowing Oudendal a very easy path to get away. He's not being troubled at all. Boshoff, now that he's got to the 2nd place, has turned the wick up ever so slightly and is bringing both Shelley and Baker along for the ride up to 1st place. Whether they can bridge that gap over the next couple of laps, we'll have to wait and see, because Oudendal seems to be in a zone, and when he gets into that particular zone, he is a very difficult man to beat.
Talking about the zone, Michael White is on a mission. He is now closing that gap. Watch him come into shot. There he is. He's now closed that gap onto Blaise Baker, and we even saw at the regionals, Mike takes a little while to start, but when he gets happy with that bike and the tires, he really puts down some fast laps, and he could close onto this podium battle with the Yamaha and the Kawasaki just ahead of him. But at the moment, they're not making inroad into Stephen Oudendal, and Shelley just needs to maybe calm down a bit. He's looking a bit erratic at the moment. He needs to take a step back, get his rhythm. We know he's got the pace to challenge Stephen Oudendal. He hasn't made the start, unfortunately, but let's just calm down. Let's sit down and let's stick behind Boshoff and try and close that gap. That's the only way you're going to do it. By going sideways and fighting on track, it's not going to help your cause.
Have you got comms to him? Because he seems to be doing exactly what you're asking. He has calmed down. Look at the body language on the rider, completely smoother than what he was. And as we head down the N4 straight, portable shade N4 straight, he looks back to see where Baker is. Baker will probably do a similar thing just before the braking market, just to see if he's still got the same gap between himself and Magic Mike. He is still sliding in there, but that's the riding style.
Oh, I heard that.
Baker makes a mistake.
I heard that. I heard a false neutral. You could hear the box just hook up and head into neutral, and Blaise Baker has made a mistake down the back straight there. That's allowed Michael White up, but this is the kind of luck that Blaise Baker's had this year. He's had the pace. He just hasn't managed to convert those into podium finishes.
He's lost massive amounts of ground as well, Rob, as you came across the line there. I didn't even see him cross the line as Magic Mike went through. So Michael White is the man on the move. He's gone from a terrible start into about 8th place. Made his way up one by one, ticked them off, and now is back into contention for the podium. He's got to still make up a little bit of ground onto the M-Tech Nashua Yamaha of Anthony Shelley and the Indy Oil Toy Store Kawasaki of Boshoff. But if the three of them can get together, I don't even say if they get together, because looking at the way things are going, even though we don't have our lap timer working right now, Rob, it's visually coming down between Boshoff and the lead Yamaha.
I was just about to say, Greg, we haven't seen Odendaal in the same shot as them all race, but he now is. So that's testimony to Adolf Boshoff and Shelley that the pace they're running, and Michael White.
Yeah.
The problem with White is he's having to use a lot of tyre now to make up for that bad start, to close the gap. Where Stephen Oendaal's got out front, he maybe, I don't know, maybe he's running at 90, 95% and still has that 5% in reserve. Whereas these guys now have to put their head down and just go for it because they've got to close that gap.
Hopefully going to be able to pace themselves enough to make it to the front end and give us a four-way battle. It's kind of what we've seen all season long. It hasn't been a case of one rider getting away, especially in the Super 600s. We've had 6 or 7 riders fighting for potentially first place and the 3 podium positions. Now, as Boshoff brings Shelley along for the ride, there is potential to see that again, but it'll probably only be in the closing stages. Ooh, ran a bit wide there, did the cowboy, but that's his style too.
Boshoff onto the dirt on the back straight. He is trying hard. He really is. You can see it. He wants to close that gap, but he can't make mistakes like that. You're not going to close. As Shelley tries on the inside, he puts a very forceful move and they touch. And look at Boshoff fighting back into the chicane. He just did not want to give that position up, and they actually, that is elbow bar bashing. They exchange paintwork. That Kawasaki is now blue and that Yamaha is now orange.
I think the possibilities they change gloves as well. That's how close they got, buddy. Yeah, you take mine, I'll take yours. Wow, incredible stuff there from 2 of South Africa's top 600cc riders. He comes back in for a second look into turn 2. Oh, Shelley is all over the back like a bad rash on Boshoff, and Boshoff is not taking the pressure. He runs wide. Oh, potential injury and loss of championship points here, boys. Remember that. And in the background, Michael White is just saying, yeah, come on, guys, keep that up. You're slowing down the pace, and I'm closing in on you. I'm coming along for the ride.
What's happened now is they've said, right, Odendaal, you've gone and won this now. So we are battling for positions. But what that's done, like you said, has allowed Michael White to close the gap. Shelley is trying everything he can to get past the Kawasaki ride. Oh, and what was that?
That looks like an exhaust pipe.
Could that be from Stephen Oendaal's bike?
That could be from Oendaal's pipe.
Oh, look at this again into the hairpin in the 90. Oh, Shelley on the brakes. This is getting tight now. They're both making mistakes. They're both trying to race for track position, but we're going to try and see. There was definitely something in the track there.
I think it might be a exhaust pipe off that Yamaha. I'm having a look and see the Yamaha in second place is fine. And there was definitely some debris on the track, whether or not it was an exhaust pipe or just a piece of fairing or something, but definitely something came flying off one of the motorcycles. It wasn't any of the bikes involved in this battle we're concentrating on right now, and potentially off our race leader. It hasn't slowed his pace up, and I can tell you, as they come onto the back straight, in fact, the little battle there has shaken the cowboy up slightly, and he's lost some ground to Shelley.
Shelley really, I think he thinks he's got more pace because you could see he was determined to get past the Kawasaki man. That's allowed Michael White now onto the back of Boshoff. But we know, look at Boshoff sideways into that final turn. Shelley's made a slight mistake again. He's running a bit wide, so that's allowed Boshoff to close up again as we come onto the front straight for yet another lap completed. But it is Shelley trying to pull away. You can see now Michael White's board there said go. You are now closing the gap, and he can see a podium finish right in front of him. He's just got to keep calm because I don't think that this battle is over by any means.
Okay, whatever the issue was not on that Yamaha. I had a quick listen out the window as you were talking there, Rob, and it's still firing on all cylinders. No issues in terms of abnormal or irregular sounds coming from the lead Yamaha. So whatever fell off was probably off one of the other riders' motorcycles out there, or potentially just blew across the circuit. Oh, Boshoff into 4 was not looking comfortable at all. The front end is starting to tuck, and that's the kind of thing he battled with in East London. He really had some issues on the front end and tried to get a rider into pit lane there. I'm not quite sure who that was, but that could be the rider missing bits and pieces of his motorcycle. It's still stuck in the middle of the track there.
That's Blaze Baker. It's Blaze Baker who's come into the pits. Unfortunately, we heard him. It sounded like a false neutral going down the back straight. And now they're looking down at the bike. Maybe that is something has fallen off that bike and is what is lying in the track. But this is the battle now, still on track for second place. You can see it's just like yo-yoing. 1 minute, Shelley closes the gap, then they make a mistake.
That is definitely an exhaust pipe can.
You're right, Greg. You're absolutely right.
That is either an Arata or Akrapovic by the looks of things. I'm not quite sure who's running Arata and Akrapovic. None of the front 4 have got issues with the exhaust pipe. You can still see all the pipes on there. And there it is. The left-hand side of the bike on Baker's is where the neutral system is kicking in. So that's the gear shifter. Unfortunately, looks like a little adjustment and back out onto circuit. He has to go back out. Because remember, this is still a championship up for grabs. He's fighting for 5th place with Nicole van Arsvegen, and there's, I think, only about 20-odd points between himself and Nicole, so he cannot afford to lose any more ground to Nicole. He's got to stay out there to stay within the hunt for a top 5.
And behind these guys, we've got Dylan Barnard and Doran Loureiro and Darian Kaiser, our regional champion. who's also still on track with Nicole van Aswierken there. And look at Boshoff fighting that in the oil Kawasaki. You saw him just adjust the bars as he was trying to use his strength to flick the bike through. But you see, yo-yoing again. Look at the massive gap that Shelley's already pulled now in second place. And he is actually closing on Steven Undal. Did you see that?
Yep.
I would like to see what lap time Anthony Shelley did there. Unfortunately, we don't have it. But that was a fast lap time because he has closed that gap and he's pulled away from these two guys.
Yeah, he's got away from the two Kawasaki's. And in fact, if you look at the lead Kawasaki, the Indy Oil Toy Store man, he is battling for traction. The front end is not sitting comfortable at all. And if Michael White is clever, he's just going to wait a little bit longer because eventually something's going to go wrong. I don't want to put a commentator's curse on Boshoff, but you can visually see there's an issue on that bike and he's not able to run the same kind of pace as he was earlier on.
Setup is so key around this racetrack, Greg. If you're not comfortable at attacking the corners, and that's what it looks like with Boshoff. This doesn't look like he can attack the corners the way he wants to. We know he likes to push the front end. Maybe it's a little bit of setup, or maybe tire pressure again, or maybe it's just the heat out on track that is now getting to him. But he needs to just calm down now. Shelley is definitely making inroads on Udendal, but not massively. Udendal seems to be controlling it at the front, and Shelley is using a lot of tire to get there. But let's hope that he can close that gap and going into the last couple of laps, maybe put some pressure on the number one plate man.
I think that's exactly what his plans are. Michael White just sitting comfortable at the moment. Consortium shipping man putting his elbow on the ground, getting out of the DO dog bone there. Incredible riding style out of Magic Mike. Magic Michael White, we always call him Magic because that's the kind of riding he does on circuit, and hardly ever puts a foot wrong, although we did see a slight mistake in the warm-up lap in East London in the wet, but torrential downpour that eventually cost the whole race day. You can forgive him for that little mistake that he made there. Looking at the front end though, have a look and see the red Yamaha just goes through, and that is the Neolife powered by Yamaha R6 of Udendal, and right behind him. Look at Magic Mike closing here. Here we go, down into turn one. Heads up for opportunity for third place as Udendal pitches into turn one. Shelley goes through. Do we have a new man in third place? Oh, he's just not close enough.
Looks like Boshoff got some kind of gearbox problem as well. As he flicked it there and you hook from second to third, looked like he jumped out of gear. That's what allowed Michael White right onto his back tire. So Boshoff definitely not happy with that bike. And it really does play on your mind. When you can't attack corners, knowing that your gearbox is 100%, it really does play on your mind. He's got to be oh so careful. So instead of attacking corners, he's got to make sure he's activating the gears properly. And that will slow you down. What that has done is brought Michael White right onto his tail. But again, catching and passing are two different things.
Now, what Mark White must do now is just be patient. You don't want to go and throw something up the inside, particularly of the Cowboy. He has got a bit of a thing about him, and a lot of riders will testify to that, including Mr. Alan John Fenter after the incident at Bekisa. Round one of this championship, Adolf Boshoff went down into the toe of the boot with no brakes. Tried to sit it up and went pummeling into the back end of Alan John, who just tipped it in the normal style for the toe. No idea that he had a rocket ship coming up on the inside. In fact, Al said to me when they were flying through the grass, all you could hear was Boshoff saying, "Sorry, sorry,
Sorry, yeah."
Exactly.
As we head in there, but a lot of work to do here for those guys. They've definitely tried. Shelley has pulled a massive gap, and Shelley is the man on the move at the moment.
Here's Mike.
You can see Boshoff definitely struggling with some kind of gearbox. As he's trying to change gear through those flick-flacks, he's not able to do it. But Michael White's got to be clever because he doesn't want to be too close when that happens, and he could potentially T-bone him.
Yeah,
and that could end both their races.
That's exactly it. Patience is going to be a virtue here, I think, for Magic Mike as he comes down the Portable Shade N4 highway and heading down into the Discover Digital chicane. He has a look on the inside, shows a wheel. He knows that there's an issue on the gearbox, and look at how hard Boshoff is having to ride now. It's why he's slowing himself down. It's not his usual riding style, although he does have a bit of an erratic and wild style to him. He's a lot less wild than what we normally see, and potentially in trouble for third place.
Looks like he's trying to make a lot of time up on the brakes, and that's why the bike's getting all kinds of out of shape, and that's probably the worst way to make up time is on the brakes. Maybe he needs to just brake a little bit earlier, carry a bit more speed, just calm things down a bit, but we're not out on the bike. He could be having other issues, and that's the only way he can ride the bike. Obviously, all these guys are trying everything they can, but Mike White at the moment, it's going to be hard to pass Boshoff because Boshoff makes that Kawasaki very wide. So any possible opportunity for Michael White to pass is being cut off by Boshoff because he's got the front wheel pointing one way and the back wheel pointing another, and then his legs hanging out.
He runs wide out of 4, which could potentially give a better drive through the triple apex in turn 5 now to Magic Mike as he comes onto the short straight. See if he can get into the slipstream and possibly bomb him on the brakes into the hairpin. Not an easy overtaking maneuver to make, but if anybody can do it, we'll have a look and see. He does put a wheel up the inside. Not quite close enough yet to make it stick on Boshoff, but Boshoff runs wide this time. If he was close enough, he could have actually snuck up the inside there. So it's all about timing, as you said, Rob. You've got to find the ideal position and the ideal spot to make that outbraking maneuver. If he'd been, like I thought he might do, go up the inside and show a wheel, he would have made it stick there easily.
And it's so frustrating for Michael White. He's thinking, I've got better pace than you. I know I can run faster pace than you, but I just can't get past you. So this is the battle for third position, which both of them will be wanting to go for, because not only is it good championship points, but it's a podium finish. So they both want it. But what does Michael White do? Does he do like a Shelley and attack? We saw Shelley didn't want to hang around anymore. He put the move on, aggressive move, made it stick, and you see he's out of here. But Michael White's got to be clever, and you can see White gets the slipstream. He's going to pull out of the slipstream, but Borsov just brakes so late. Watch us, White on the brakes, Borsov a good 10 meters later.
Easy, coming into the Discover Digital chicane now, manages to keep Michael White at bay for now. You can see Wayne Shelley on the wall shouting massive support there for Anthony. The youngster's doing a great job, and actually we've been following this with 5 laps to go, the battle for third place. But the battle for first place is about to heat up, because Undal, if he's not careful, is going to be closed down by Shelley pretty rapidly.
And this is also a big up to the MTech Nashua team, because they've obviously given Shelley a package that is consistent, whether it be on new or used tyres. And like I said earlier, Shelley's got the bike control. As Michael White tries on the inside, doesn't make it stick. Shelley's got the bike control to ride a bike on old tyres, new tyres. I've seen Shelley ride all kinds of bikes. Put him on a bike and he can go fast on it. But this Yamaha, he's just clicked. There's just something there about him and this Yamaha combination. And at the moment, to still be doing the lap times and run the pace he is, look, credit to Stephen Undal out front, who's managed this race perfectly. But coming down to the last couple of laps, there's 5 laps remaining. Coming down to the last 2, anything could happen.
Yep, that's exactly what we're hoping for. And I think everybody out in the crowd and on live streaming land are looking for the same as well. Late braking this time out of Magic Mike, and does Borsov run wide again? He doesn't. This time a little bit smoother heading into the DO Dogbone. And you can see he's just now managing Michael White.
He's exactly the word.
He's found an opportunity where he knows exactly where to brake, where to gear, where to get into gear correctly if he is battling with those gears, and keep Magic Mike behind him.
As we go now, this is Stephen Undal. We haven't seen much of him because he's literally led from start almost to finish, but he can't really say that yet. That's Darian Kaiser on track there. Just there. He's obviously coming to the pits. We saw him right through here earlier. He's obviously got a problem, and he's back out on track now. But this is the third place battle still, and Michael White, I suppose there's nothing else he can do. If he passes Borsov, Borsov's just going to pass him straight back. So there's no real point in passing. You can see Kaiser. Look at that. Look at that. Bashing elbows down the back straight. Look at it. But Adolf Borsov has got the line on the brakes on the inside. But how's that? You have this massive track to play with, and they bash elbows. Yeah. Only these lighties.
It's 14 meters across, I think. There's enough space there for 7 bikes to go side by side. And they're still touching elbows with 4 laps to go. I think Magic Mike would have digged that. He's that kind of rider. He'll love the bit of antics between the two of them. He's always a big showboating man himself. If you look at any of his pictures on Facebook, his elbows and knees and his chin, in fact, is on the ground when he goes around the corner.
But it is so frustrating. I know when you're sitting behind a guy like Borsov who is looking a bit erratic, so he's all over the place, and you're trying to be smooth, and it just catches your eye, and you try and not focus on the bike ahead of you, but it's so hard to do that when you've got a rider like Borsov out front. Look, Borsov, we forget how young he is. I mean, he's 15, 16 years old. To be riding at this pace, at this level, I mean, the boy's got talent. There's no doubt about that. But Mike, also a young rider, it's just so frustrating when you're sitting there going, I know I have more pace than you, but if I pass you, I know you're going to pass me back. So what do? Do I sit behind you and get almost frustrated and caught by your bike going sideways everywhere while I'm trying to be smooth and conserve my tires? Or do I make the pass and potentially try and pull away? But you know that's not going to happen, because Borsov's just going to fight straight back.
Yeah, and this is the one rider who will definitely fight back, because he doesn't give up without a fight, that is for sure. So Magic Mike will just have to bide his time, be patient, and hopefully find an opportunity before the checkered flag comes out. It'll be in about 2.5 laps, if I'm not mistaken. We are going with our lap timer just outside here as opposed to our timing monitor. A little bit of issues there for pro timing, but they are working frantically to get it back up and running. So if you are out in live streaming land, unfortunately we have lost timing, but it is being worked on. And as soon as it's back up, we will certainly bring that back to you and give you the kind of lap times. We've got 3 laps, in fact, as they're going to come across the line this time. So it's 3 laps and 3 corners.
But what Michael White's doing here, he gets a lot better drive onto the back straight. So he's lining up a move going into the last lap. You can see that. But does he have the bravery to go on the brakes into that final turn? Because we've seen Borsov, he manages to brake so late, and he turns the bike and he stops it. He cuts off whatever line Michael White wants to take. You can see Michael White's board there, it said push. They're running in the 58 lap time, so they've dropped off slightly from their running pace. but as expected, this deep into the race from the tyres and fatigue and whatever. But this race is not over. But Michael White really has to be smart here. He really has to line things up carefully. Otherwise, there could be 2 Kawasaki's on the deck.
Yeah, and then we'll be looking behind us to see who's actually in that 3rd or 4th place. So we're going to be in for a little bit of a change up here, or 5th place, I should say, because this is the 3rd place battle that we're talking about. The 2 Yamahas have got away. And up the road, I was trying to pick up on some of the shots. I don't think Shelly's going to have enough time to close in on Undal. I think 1 and 2 is pretty much all sealed up. And we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen here for this 3rd place one, because this one is definitely not done.
Well, if it is a 1-2 Yamaha, I'm going to be phoning Peter Wilkins from Yamaha on Monday morning and asking for a nice full-page advert for the next magazine. Thank you very much. But in 3rd place, it's amazing to see the 2 Yamahas so far up front, and then it's 2 Kawasaki's. But we might go to Desi Raceway, and it could be the opposite way. The Kawasaki's could be suited more to the Desi track as opposed to the Yamaha. So it really depends on the machinery and setup. And at the moment, it looks like the Yamahas have got the perfect setup. The Kawasaki's definitely struggling. They don't have the pace of the Yamaha, especially at the beginning of the race they did, especially deep into the race now they just do not have. And you can see Bosov just having to fight the bike. He's not turning the bike as much as Michael White. So maybe a front tyre issue. Look at Michael White. Through the fast stuff, he's got so much more pace as he tries on the inside.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone on the inside. He's got him. He goes into the turn that brings him onto the back straight and onto the N4 highway. Runs a little wide. Watch out for the slipstream. Watch out for the fight back. We did say it'll come straight out of Bosov. He comes out of the slipstream. Looks to go late on the brakes. Mike's going to be extremely late on the brakes. He's not good enough. Wow, Bosov gets him back on the brakes into the Discover Digital chicane. And, Michael White, you're going to have to sort that out, but you're going to have to go later on the brakes to beat Bosov into that chicane.
That's the frustrating thing for Michael White. He knows he can make the pass, but to make it stick is the problem, because Bosov is just going to fight back. And Bosov is so good on the brakes, but he's just not able to carry the corner speed. And Michael White, a bit earlier on the brakes, but he carries so much corner speed. You can literally see him waving all over the track to find a place to pass on Bosov. But Bosov on the brakes is loading that front, but he's not carrying the corner speed. As Michael White tries here, no, he's not going to make it stick.
What he has to do is he actually needs to make it stick here in NGL Logistics Complex so that he's got the short straight and then the dog bone to get away from Bosov. Because if he's not further enough ahead of Bosov under braking for the chicane, Bosov is going to outbrake him every time.
Greg, what Michael White has to do is go exactly like you said. He's got to do a block pass. He's got to almost put his bike there at the last minute, force Bosov to sit up, lose a lot of drive to get that 2 or 3 bike lengths, because he knows as soon as you get to the infield section, he's going to pull away. That's Michael White's strong point, is this section where he's got to look Bosov wide again.
See, that's exactly where he needs to capitalize. When Bosov runs wide, he needs to be up there and get through and use that mistake to his advantage. He's not quite close enough at the times that Bosov is making those mistakes, and it's costing him. Because now he's very good through here. Watch how good he is through the dog bone. He will be incredibly quick coming out of the dog bone, heading down to the final turn that takes them onto the portable shade N4 highway. And that's where he throws it up the inside. Look how he closes here. On the exit point, he's right there. He can put it in any time he wants to. He'll probably have another go here. No, he's not quite close enough this time. But if he was close enough, he probably would have stuck it up the inside and said, right, let me see if I can out-drag you again. The power between these... a little mistake there from Bosov might help him out a bit. But I was about to say, the power between these 2 Kawasaki's is very even. And as he comes up, that is Blaze Baker.
Yes,
they're about to lap.
Yeah, that's Blaze Baker. Unfortunately, we saw him run wide while challenging for a podium position early in the race. Bosov all kinds of sideways as we're coming into the last lap. Our leaders have crossed the line. That's Stephen Odendahl out front on his Neo Life Yamaha, with Anthony Shelley on the MTech Nashua Yamaha in second. But Michael White, this is the lap to do it, Mike. You can't shake your head. You've got to put your head down and you've got to make the pass potentially into turn 2 or turn 3, where you can shove it on the inside at the last minute, force Bosov up and force him wide, and that's the only way you're going to make the move stick.
Oh, we haven't seen this rider for a long, long time because he's so far up the road, but he manages to maintain the lead that he got right from the word go. The battle for 3rd place is what we've concentrated on because it's been a really, really good one. And now as they head into turn 4, Michael White's not close enough. What I'm going to say to him now is you weren't able to get it right through NGL Logistics Complex, the turn 3, 4, and 5. Now, just make sure you're close enough in case Bosov makes a mistake at the hairpin.
Which we've seen so many times. Bosov has made a lot of mistakes in that hairpin. It's no point in passing Bosov into the back straight because Bosov's just going to... We've seen how late Bosov is on the brakes down the back straight, so you've got to do it here in the infield. Bosov's got in there very late again. not as wide as we've seen him before. So Michael White really has to make the move here, but he just gets held up here. So he really has to make the move sooner rather than later, because Boshoff is going to slipstream you down the back straight and he's going to outbreak you every time, unless Michael White has been saving something. Maybe Michael White's going to shock us and break late down that back straight and make the move.
Oh, let's wait and see what the consortium shipping Kawasaki can do with Michael White on board. Can he outgun the Indy Oil Toy Store Kawasaki? This time he goes early. He sneaks through early. Oh, but Boshoff just keeps him honest. Incredible stuff there between Boshoff and Magic Mike. They are side by side heading on to the Portable Shade N4 Highway. And as they come out there, Michael White is going to have to go extremely late.
Right, Mike, you've got to put all your cards on the table here now. You've got the slipstream. You are in the prime position as Stephen Odendaal takes the flag. Brandon Nass is a happy man there. Anthony Shelley picks up second, but this is the battle for third. Oh, Adolf Boshoff so late on the brakes, but he's held it. Michael White has no answer, and that'll leave the Indy Oil man to pick up the... Oh, still drive from Mike White. He's going to make it to the line.
Boshoff for third place. Michael White in fourth. Oh, what an incredible battle between those two Kawasaki's. Top quality racing as always in the Super 600. There you can see big high fives from both the Yamaha boys and the two Kawasaki men. Incredible racing as always in the Super 600s.
Now Anthony Shelley, will be thinking, right, I just need to get a better start. A beautiful now stand-up wheelie there from Stephen Odendaal, the man who also races overseas in the Moto2 Spanish Championship. So out here on his Neo Life R6 Yamaha, as he picks up the win ahead of Shelley. Now Shelley, I think, will be a little bit disappointed because he knows he had the pace to run with the man out front. He just didn't get the start. We saw him bash bars with Adolf Boshoff into turn one after running wide. So look out for Anthony Shelley on that R6 sponsored by Nashua and MTech in race number 2, because I think he's got the pace to run with this man. Our race number 1 winner on the Neo Life Yamaha R6, Stephen Odendaal. Beautiful stand-up wheelie down the little back straight. 25 more points for Stephen Odendaal in the bag, so really cementing his championship title credentials now, going for number 2 title in a row, as he was our champion last year in the Super 600cc category. There is Stephen Odendaal with his mother and his father and the rest of the team from the Neo Life Yamaha team. Hugs and kisses all round, and well done to Stephen Odendaal. Get your helmet off and onto that podium so we can get Greg Maloney talking to you. There's Adolf Boshoff. I don't think he's going to be completely happy with that. He picked up the podium position, but I think he feels he's got more pace, and I know he's got more pace than that. He'll want to be challenging up front there a lot closer to this man Shelley and Stephen Odendaal. But big shout out to Anthony Shelley. It was a great ride. We saw sideways action from the man on the Yamaha. Just every single corner really did put in a nice aggressive ride. Had to put in some really hairy moves to make it onto that podium, but he's done it there for the MTech Nashua Yamaha team.
Climbing off the bike, you can see just as fit as they are still feeling the effects of the heat. And it certainly is a lot hotter than what we've had all season long. Remember, we've had lots of rained out races. We've had some cool races the last time we were here at Red Star Raceway. So it looks like things are completely on the opposite side of the weather pattern today. And let's get our hot riders up onto the podium. In third place, riding for Indy Oil and Toy Store on a Kawasaki ZX6, the cowboy himself, Adolf Boshoff. Make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get him up onto the third podium position. Second place for the Nashua MTech Racing Yamaha team. A great effort, and looking forward to seeing if he can make it a little bit higher up a little bit later on. Let's get him up there. Anthony Shelley. And back on top and maintaining his lead in the championship, Pooch from the Neo Life, powered by Yamaha team, Stephen Odendaal. Handing out the third place trophy, Mr. Brandon Nass from Portable Shade. He'll hand that to Adolf Boshoff. And then make his way out to get ready for Super G.
Competitors, your circuit, the circuit is now open. Super GP competitors.
Thanks so much for that. Let's get into second place being handed out by NGL Logistics. Quentin, great to have you here as always, buddy. And you've been working hard today, bud. Let's hand that out to second place, Anthony Shelley. And Mark from Pirelli will be handing out first place to Stephen Odendaal. Ladies and gents, make some noise for your first podium for the Super 600s here. And let's go and have a chat to third place there, Adolf Boshoff. Come on down, you cowboy. Dude, from your point of view, it was a really good start, and then things seemed to just go away from you. The bike didn't seem to be working as well in the closing stages as what it did early on.
Yeah, I was lacking grip, and I was pushing a bit too hard in the beginning, and my bike was overheating. Things were just not going right, and I think like in lap 8 or something, Shelly's bike threw antifreeze, and I couldn't see through my visor, and yeah, a third. I'll go with a third. I'm not happy with this, but we'll see how it goes the second heat. I like to win. I don't like to come third, eh?
Well, let's see what happens there. Good job, and let's see if it goes a little bit better in the second one. Second place, though, where did he disappear to? He's a little sneaky guy here, hey? As we expected, both you and Stephen getting off the line incredibly well, but take us into turn 1 and having to run a bit wide around the cowboy.
Oh, no, I ran a bit wide there, and then I just felt that Wolf hit me. But it's racing, and it happens. But it was a good race, and I'm happy with the results. I'd just like to thank Ricky and the team, Gary and Mike, and everyone for supporting.
Great job. Looking forward to possibly making another Yamaha on the top next time.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so that's some fighting words out of Anthony Shelley too. Let's get Pooch in here too, because he's just doing it all right, aren't you? Things going so well, and I think I'm just going to move this side to give you a little bit of a better angle on our camera here. Good start, as we expected, but put your head down in the first couple of laps. Bit of issues behind which you didn't even see, and that gave you a chance to get away and lead and right to the flag.
Yeah, well, you know, that was my plan, I know this park really gets off the line very well, so I thought let me just put my head down from the beginning, and you know, it's actually quite a hard race when you by yourself in front and you can see the gap getting closer and further and closer and further, and it just puts more pressure on you. But you know what, I just want to say thanks to everyone, you know, who's helped me forward, and can't wait to go to Spain next week to show the guys what I can do there.
And we've been talking about the fact that you're running in the 2 championships. It's not easy to do. Today, you've still got a bit of work to do. It's not quite done and dusted. And even, I think, with the 2 victories in hand, you still have to go to Desi before we can wrap it up.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I'm not thinking about the championship right now. Just race by race and just push on to Desi. You know, I rode that track last week, and it's really awesome, and I can't wait to go down there.
We're going to head down now to the grid for the second race of the Super 600s. We saw race number 1, Stephen Oendal got out front, and he really dominated the race from the front. But the real story was Anthony Shelley. He's got the pace to run with Stephen Oendal. He just now needs the start. The big dice in race number 1 was between Adolf Boshoff and Michael White. But Michael White, unfortunately, having no answer to the late braking Adolf Boshoff. When Greg spoke to Boshoff, he was not a happy camper. Does not like finishing third. He wants to win. Those were his exact words. So can he come out now on that Indy Oil Kawasaki of his? They needed to do some setup, Adolf said, and let's hope they've done that so that he can really challenge up there for the win. If we have a look now at the clouds that are coming in, there's a little bit of rain there, but like Greg said, the wind could possibly be pushing that over. Definitely has got a little bit darker out there again. Track conditions oh so different to they were in race number 1. We saw hot conditions race number 1, which made the tires all greasy and sticky. And race number 2 now, you're going to have to, the teams are really going to have to think about tire pressures and setup, because it's a lot cooler out there for sure.
Certainly is cooler. The wind has picked up a little bit, but it is still blowing the rain away from us, as you've just mentioned. So I think we're still in for a dry race day right till the end, and hopefully we'll get through both of these last 2 heats of the day. Super 600s on the grid. That's the man to catch in this championship, Stephen Oendal. It's not quite done and dusted for him just yet, so I think we're only going to wrap up the Super Juniors here today for a championship point of view. Magic Mike, I think, is fired up for some fun and games in the second heat, as is Anthony Shelley. A little bit of a change up, as you can see, from the race 1 grid, race 2 grid now. Mike White on the front row, and he is the meat in the sandwich between the 2 Yamahas.
A much better starting position there for the consortium shipping Michael White. And then this is the man that I lost R3.50 on in race 1, so he owes me R3.50. That is Anthony Shelley. So I'm going to put R2.50 on Anthony Shelley to do it this time. And
that's pretty good, eh?
And I need 48 months now to pay it, please.
You sound like you're trying to do a deal for finance here. I think you can get it on HP that bet, eh? Shelley, your work is now going to have to be cut out for you, but we can get the finance out of, I think Ricky Moraes might have $5 in his back pocket.
I know he doesn't.
No, he probably doesn't. Sure. He's actually just... Okay, we got $10 out of the OB unit. That'll help us out. Adolf Boshoff, we heard him talking about the fact that he wasn't happy with third place. He only likes to win. So can he go out and do it now? Blaze Baker got lots of work to do now in the second one. You can see he's fired up to get up onto the pace quickly.
You saw we had sounded like gearbox problems in race number 1, but he had the pace. And so many times this season we've seen Blaze Baker have the pace. He just needs that luck now. So hopefully this race number 2. And Dylan Barnard, the most improved rider of the weekend for sure, running in the 55s lap times. That is incredibly quick on a little 600 and really has improved. Our Northern Regions champion from last year, Darian Kaiser, he's had an up and down year so far in the Super 600s.
Look, he's waving at himself on the TV screen there. Wave, Darian, wave at yourself, bud. That's the way to do it, hey? All right, so we're going to clear the grid, get ready to go for race 2 in the Super 600s. Keep an eye out on Doran Lareo as well. He was just ahead. We didn't see him on the grid from the camera point of view, but he is on the grid and looking for a chance to possibly be in the top 5. So it's all about race 2 action about to kick off. We've got one warm-up lap to go, and then we come under starters orders for the final time in the Super 600. Stephen Oendal looking for an opportunity to take a double on the day here, but Anthony Shelley's going to try and keep him honest, along with 3 Kawasaki riders. And as we go there, Doran Lareo putting his hand up. I'm not quite sure why the hands are going up there. Probably because Magic Mike has just rolled out of it completely, going to the back of the field. It's kind of what he does. It's his thing. Likes to follow all the riders around and be the last bike to line up on the grid.
Greg, let's look at championship. It's Stephen Oendal out front, but Mike White, Adolf Boshoff just behind him. Unfortunately, Anthony Shelley started the season off in the 1,000-seated category, moved to the Yamaha team, so he's not really featured in the championship, but it's definitely between Oendal, White and Boshoff.
Yeah.
White and Boshoff, unfortunately, only picking up 3rd and 4th place, respectively, in race number 1, giving Oendal a massive amount of points. So can we see going into Desi, Stephen Oendal really not having to do that much to secure his 2nd title in a row? It's up to the likes of Michael White, starting on the front row of the grid now, as opposed to race 1 where he was on the 2nd row. But he needs to get that start, and someone needs to stop the challenge of Oendal, because if Oendal gets out front, he showed in race 1 what he can do. He'll just get out of here. It's up to the likes of Shelley, Michael White and Adolf Boshoff to really put the challenge to Oendal.
Correct, just running through a few scenarios here. If Oendal takes the victory, it'll move him up to 231 points. If Michael White comes through for 2nd from his 169 he's got now, moves him to 189. So there's still about a 40-point deficit. So it won't be wrapped up here, unfortunately.
No, that's the way we like it. We want to go down to Desi.
Last round is where it must be sorted.
Desi is just going to be the ultimate race of the year. We're going to have the Super GP decided and the Super 600s decided at a track that no one's raced at before.
Brilliant.
So if you're down in the Durban for that weekend, get down there, because it's going to be absolutely amazing racing. But right now we are at Red Star Raceway. Clockwise is the way we go. This is the way they do the 24-hour as well.
Correct.
So,
and the 12-hour.
And the 12-hour. We both know this track very well, having done massive amounts of laps in both races.
Correct.
And these guys now, it's another 10-lap race. So
14 lap for these guys.
14 lap for these guys.
14 lap for these guys.
It's a lot of laps around here, Greg, and it really is a lot of laps, and a lot can be decided here this weekend and in this race.
I'm just looking at the grid, and one person I didn't see coming out for race number 2 is Nicole van Aswegen.
Oh,
Definitely not there.
You're absolutely right, Greg.
The Triumph is not on the grid, so I don't know what the issue was on the bike, but yeah, that's not the way we want to see things happening. As we said, we had some timing issues on race 1, so we didn't quite get a final result there, and I don't even know if Nicole finished the first heat. Anyway, lights are on, and we go racing for race number 2 now. Super 600 down towards turn 1. Looks like it's Pooch's off the line nicely. Shelley's going to go with him. 2 Yamahas getting through. Blaze Baker trying to sneak up the inside of Boshoff, who goes to 3rd. Baker is into 4th place, and on Baker's tail is Magic Mike.
Another terrible start from Magic Mike. That is not what he needed. And look at Shelley on the inside of Oendal, trying to make the move on the lead. That's exactly watch Shelley here. He stands it up on the inside. Classic Anthony Shelley pass. Stands it on the inside there. It makes Stephen Oendal stand up, and that's exactly what this race needed. Matura and 50 is
He's
safe.
Looking good.
He's looking good at the moment.
Yeah, bring that money along, buddy, because it's not done yet. We're only 1/4 of the first lap into this race. And as they come out of turn 5 now, heads up on the pressure being applied onto Oendal by Boshoff and Baker. They are all over the back of that Yamaha and making Stephen Oendal a little bit concerned. Behind them comes Magic Mike. And as they head down the short straight, it is going to be Shelley possibly hanging on. He did that in the first race and actually lost the lead to Oendal, but Oendal wasn't close enough to capitalize on the sliding into turn number 6, the hairpin.
Anthony Shelley is out front, and it's He's got Stephen Undal right on his tail, but Shelley showed in race number 1, as the further we went into the race, the faster he got. He managed to maintain the pace a lot better than anyone else on track. So Undal he won the race and he was out front, but we don't really know how he was with his tyres. I don't think he was as good as Shelley. So this really is lining up to be an amazing race. Hopefully Bossov has got his setup right, because we know if that bike's set up right, he will challenge for the race win.
And he definitely was fired up after finishing only 3rd place on the podium. And you could see the disappointment in his interview and also the despondency coming out of the rider. Onto the braking markers. Watch out for Undal to be late, but not as good as Shelley. Shelley gets it sideways and in fact forces Undal onto a line that he probably didn't want to take. So it has worked out, and first lap is going to be led by an M-Tech Yamaha, not by the Neolife machine.
Greg, did you see how late Anthony Shelley broke there? The rear wheel was skipping all over the time and again into turn 1. Shelley is fired up for this. He won. We haven't seen Shelley stand on the top podium position for a while now. I think the last time he did it was at this track on his Kawasaki.
Correct.
Last year. So now on the Yamaha, he really wants to prove to the team that he deserves it. As Bossov on the inside, no, doesn't make it stick. But Shelley wants to prove a point. I am a title contender. I love this Yamaha. I want to be there. Oh, that's Bossov suffering maybe from a little bit of cramp, making that move. I know that because that's the only time you do that, stick your leg out, is when you get a little bit of a cramp in your leg, and it can happen here on this tight and twisty track.
Yeah, especially the way that these guys are riding at probably 150% of their ability to try and maintain the lap times that they're doing right from the word go. A standing lap, a 1 minute 58. Yeah. Can I please have one of those? Oh, please, please, please.
Oh, look at Shelley smoking that rear tire on the brakes. All action stuff. Stephen Undal just behind him. Another mistake there from Bossov. That's allowed Blaze Baker to close the gap. Michael White, we've seen this so many times. The beginning stages of the races, he just takes too long to get into a rhythm. By the time he gets into his rhythm, the top 2 have gone. And now we saw in race 1, he battled to make passes. Can he do the same now in race 2? Is he going to sit behind Blaze Baker and Bossov? He can't. He's got to get past him for the championship.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And just behind them, the 3 Ds. That's Doran Lareo, Dylan Barnard, and Darian Kaiser fighting for 6th place on the circuit. It's not too far off the back of this little battle, but the 2 Yamahas definitely showing that they have got a slight edge over the Kawasaki's as they start to pull away from mistakes being made by the Cowboy, and Baker not capitalizing on those mistakes.
Those R6s definitely look matched top speed-wise. Undal maybe just has a little bit more on Shelley, but in the brake markers, it's definitely Shelley who's got the upper hand. He really does love getting that Yamaha R6 sideways into the turns, and it really is spectacular. But Undal sitting there, we know Undal's not a champion. He's not a champion for nothing. He knows exactly what it takes to win races. He's going to sit there, suss Shelley out, and when he needs to go, he's going to try and go.
Oh, and it might be into turn 2. He had a big look, showed the wheel. And in fact, it slowed him down ever so slightly, and by slowing him down, into the clutches once again of Bossov. Bossov got a great run through turn 1 and 2 and has closed that gap down. Brought along Baker and Michael White for the run.
I think the cooler conditions might actually suit the Kawasaki, because we're already seeing that they're a lot closer to the R6s than they were in race 1, and maybe that's what it is, because it definitely is a lot cooler now than it was in race number 1. But Shelley doing a great job out front. But look at this, the top 5 riders that we saw on the grid are packed right together. It's who's going to be the bravest.
This is what we wanted in race 1, Rob. This is exactly what we wanted in race 1, and after that little incident between Shelley and Bossov through turn 1, we lost the group. They kind of just got splintered into turn 1, which has allowed Undal to sneak away and get away at the front end. This time he hasn't been able to do it, and Shelley did exactly what he wanted to do, but this time made it stick.
Adolf Bossov, a much better rider. He looks a lot happier with the setup of that bike. He's not diving on the brakes and getting the thing all over the place. Looks like he can put that front end a little bit better than he was in race number 1. He really was battling. We heard him say he was battling with grip. And Baker also doing a great job there. Remember, DNF in race number 1 because of gearbox or some other problems. But he's right there now. He's just got to stay there and pick up good points. But it's still the R6s out front. This is where Undal really gets a good drive onto the back straight. You can see Shelley has a little bit of a moment, and Undal looks behind him, gets into the slipstream, and he'll try and make that move on the brakes. But I don't think you're going to outbrake Anthony Shelley down the back straight.
Yeah, coming down into the Discover Digital chicane. Nice run here from Shelley. They're going to complete lap number 3 of 14 now as they cross the line. Shelley on the previous lap did a 55 dead, a 54.9 out of Stephen Undal. Let's see how it changes. 54.9 this time out of Shelley, and a 54.9. In fact, they are split by 3 thousandths of a second. Oh, incredible.
This is exactly what we wanted. Did you see that? All 5 riders backing it into turn 1. spectacular action shot there. And this is where Shelley made the move. He really is the king of this section of the track. You can see he holds a slightly tighter line there. He managed to somehow get that R6 squared off and get the drive coming out of the turn. But as we come through the back section of the track, that is where Odendaal really closes up, and the Kawasaki's are there now. In race number 1, we saw they just didn't have the pace to match the Yamahas, but they're right there now.
Nice stuff here between the Yamahas and the Kawasaki's. 5-way battle. Oh, Darian Kaiser, by the looks of things, running a little bit wide. Yes, indeed. That'll be into turn 3. And unfortunately parked the Uncle Andy's Kawasaki on the sideline. And that's the day done and dusted for Darian. Big pity for him. Northern Regions champion last year. He also had lots of time and experience in the Endurance Series, the Suzuki Endurance Series, and the 24-hour. And in fact, in the 12-hour last year, in the rain, I've got a shot of him with probably about a 6 or 5 foot wake coming off the front of that bike.
He does know how to ride around this track, and obviously in that series he rides on a big BMW S1000 and he has on the Kawasaki ZX6, but unfortunately another DNF. We saw in race 1 he had bike problems, so I haven't managed to sort it out there. But the Yamahas just starting to stretch their legs now, and it's Odendaal. You see he runs that slightly wider line, squares it up and gets on the gas a little bit earlier than Shelley out front, sits in the slipstream. Shelley looks behind him and he sees one R6 and a trainer Kawasaki's right on his tail. There goes Odendaal on the brakes. He's made it stick.
He looked over the wrong shoulder there, and Odendaal goes in extremely late, runs wide. You're not going to do that. Here come the Kawasaki's. Woo, this is going to be hot stuff. He ran in too hot into the chicane, and Discover Digital seeing lots of action today as they come across the Pirelli start-finish line. The Kawasaki's are back into it. Bossoff now brought Blaze Baker along for the ride, and the 2 flame job helmets right on the tailpiece there of the man from Neerlach.
You're not going to outbreak Anthony Shelley that easily, I can tell you that. He really has got that R6 set up so nice. Really dives the front end of that bike and he still gets it turned in. So Odendaal's going to have to rethink his strategy there. But the Kawasaki's just behind. They've got a turn of power. Slightly faster bikes than the Yamahas. So if Bossoff gets good drive onto that back straight, he could see himself slipstreaming past both of the Yamahas.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be easy to get past Shelley, as you've just said. The reason I say that is in the Northern Regions Championship over the last 2 seasons, I've seen some epic battles with Shelley involved. Normally on a 600 fighting with thousands, and the one to mention was at Swartkops. Yeah, I saw that.
Coming out of
bit of
Bossoff's
smoke coming
bike.
out of Bossoff. Bossoff's bike starting to smoke slightly, so that could be a bit of a concern later on in the race.
I hope it's not water, Greg. It looks like it might be coming out of the radiator or something, actually. I hope it's not water spitting onto the back of Blaze Baker, but there's definitely something coming out of Bossoff's bike. We could see it clearly there. It's either smoke or it's fluid of some sort.
Well, if it's fluid, it might be the similar thing to what happened to him in race number 1. He complained about antifreeze being sprayed onto his visor from Shelley's bike. So possibly overheating. We've spoke about overheating. It has been a hot day. It's not quite cool to conditions that would not allow the bikes to still run at hot temperatures in race pace. So there's a possibility of some overheating issues.
But the Kawasaki is sitting behind the slipstream of 2 R6s. So that Kawasaki is not getting fresh air. It's getting hot air from the 2 R6 ahead of him. So we're going to have to watch that closely. Certainly Blaze Baker's fallen a little bit off the pace, and Michael White is just yo-yoing at the moment. He's got the pace, but it's just inconsistent at the moment. So we need to see Michael White. Just seeing Stephen Odendaal there was right. Look how close he's running to Anthony Shelley.
Oh, it's very, very close. This incredible stuff here from Odendaal as he puts the pressure onto Shelley. And as I was saying with Shelley, his ability on the brakes is pretty much untouched. The reason I was saying that earlier on was to go back to that thought and talk about the fact that I saw him outbrake 2,000cc machines on his ZX6 into Swartkop's final turn and win a Thunderbike and a Northern Regions race. Incredible stuff. Really, really top quality.
Yeah, that's Anthony Shelley for you. Like I said, you could put him on any bike and he can ride it. He's just one of those natural, talented riders that can ride anything. And he loves this new R6 because watch this. Bangs it down a couple of gears, gets it sideways. That's how you have to ride that R6. Does not like being ridden in a straight line. You've got to get it sideways, and Shelley likes to line his corners up like that. He gets it backed in, so he just feels more comfortable entering the corner. He doesn't like entering the corner in a straight line. Just feels foreign to him, and you can see that smoke still coming out of it. And it's only that part of the track.
Yeah, coming out of turn 5 onto that back straightaway, and a couple of corners is getting worse. Definitely a lot of smoke coming out of that exhaust pipe. So hopefully it's going to be able to survive this. Going back to Anthony Shelley and that Yamaha, you're talking about the fact that he likes to get it sideways. Very much like a Red Bull Yamaha rider of the past, Gary McCoy, the Slide King. Very similar riding style, in fact, I have to say, between these two youngsters.
Very similar, and it's the way some guys just like it. If you look at the likes of Blaze Baker and Michael White, they don't like getting it sideways. They like to ride it straight. But then you look at a Shelley and even Undal, they like to get it sideways. So too does Adolf Boshoff. We're going to have to just keep an eye on Boshoff because he's definitely got something on that bike. Whether it's hampering his performance, we don't know, or him or the bike. But he's definitely riding really hard to stay in the clutches of these two R6s. But this is where the R6s really do pull a gap. The first section of the track, Boshoff is able to close. The back section of the track, the two R6s are untouchable.
Well, into the Discover Digital chicane, we saw Udendal have an attempt at an outbraking maneuver. Maybe that was just setting things up for a bit later on in the race. Remember, it's 14 laps. They've completed 6, and we've got 8 to go as they cross the line this time out. Baker with a big foot out into turn 1, trying to use that third wheel option that he's got into turn 1 to close the gap down between himself and Boshoff. It's close, extremely close between the two of them.
Shelley into turn 1, had his knee down, the rear wheel sideways smoking, and his knee down. So what an amazing ride there from Anthony Shelley. It was just phenomenal to see that. Stephen Undal must have been looking at that thinking, okay, I got a job on my hands here now because this guy looks confident. This guy is putting the bike where he wants it. Ricky Moraes and the team have done a great job to give Shelley a bike that he likes to ride. He's got that setup spot on for Anthony Shelley.
Yeah, it's great to see these two going at it. Similar machines, very similar riding styles. A slightly different one coming out of Udendal. Still smoke out of the exhaust pipe from Boshoff. Baker can't capitalize, neither can Michael White. I thought Mikey White might be able to close that gap down. He's lost 0.7 of a second to the other Kawasaki just ahead of him of Baker. And the 3 ZX6s just don't have an answer to these R6s.
My 250 out front is looking good at the moment.
Good,
yeah, no, it's looking good. But I don't know if I'll get it because I actually scaled the Boerewors roll and a Coke from the MTech pit.
Oh, lucky you, hey?
So,
thanks for bringing me one.
I'm hoping I'm still going to get my 250 if my prediction comes good, and that's Anthony Shelley out front. Looks like the top 3 have now dropped, Blaze Baker and Michael White. So it's only really Boshoff that is really mounting a challenge to the 2 R6s at the front. And what a pace these guys are running in the 54s, Greg. Still, even after this amount of laps, and it's 0.1 between the top 2. And Boshoff only 0.6 behind.
Yeah, listen, it's 0.9 down to Blaze Baker. It's probably a little bit more now looking at it, but on the previous pass, it was only 0.9. So it was a second between the first 4. It's probably about 1.5 seconds now as Baker's lost a little bit of the advantage there that he had. But it is definitely Boshoff now in the closing stages, putting the pressure on, starting to close in. On the last pass, as they're going to come across the line, we saw a 54.5 out of Anthony Shelley. That is the best lap of the race. And this time out, 54.7, 54.7, 54.8. So not quite on the 54.5 pace that Shelley had earlier on.
The cooler track conditions are definitely helping with lap times, and Boshoff is now mounting a challenge now. Adolf Boshoff has got the bit between his teeth, and he wants to come. He wants to come for those 2 R6s. He does. Oh, and as I say that, commentators curse, and Boshoff is down. And there's definitely something wrong with that bike because it is smoking, and he's not happy with that. We heard him say he does not like finishing 3rd. But sometimes 3rd is better than the deck, and unfortunately he was just starting to show a turn of pace. And
let's have a quick look at that in a replay as we see the 2 R6s heading onto the short straight. But Boshoff coming out of turn number 3, just pushing the bike and pushing it a little bit too hard for our liking, and that has cost him dramatically. Looking at the way things stand in the championship, he's going to lose massive amounts of ground.
And Blaze Baker's off.
Baker runs wide. Oh man, it's playing right into the hands of Michael White. The bad luck for Blaze Baker, the bad luck for Boshoff is now playing straight into the hands of Michael White and keeping this championship wide open. Right, let's have a look and see at that replay. Coming through, there is Boshoff closing in, and look how much he closes in. Incredible stuff. But as he pitches it over on the left-hand side, the front just washes away. That's something completely, I've never seen that.
It's similar to you could see the fluid or something pouring out of that bike where we saw it smoking, but it was just similar to Scholz in the morning, just too much lean angle. And you could see Shane, the man, he's just not happy. He really is a competitor. He wants to go out there and win, and that's the mentality you need to have. But he will come back stronger. We know Adolf Boshoff will. But out front, we saw Blaze Baker, and look at this, Stephen Udendal. But like you said, Michael White went from 5th to 3rd in a couple of corners.
In 2 corners, yeah, incredible stuff. I mean, we saw Boshoff going down in 4, and we saw Baker running wide in 6. So it's just played right into the hands of Magic Mike, keeps him in the hunt for 2nd place in this championship. I don't know if he's going to have enough to beat Stephen Udendal. Udendal's going to go into the final round with a reasonable lead that might be unassailable for Michael White. But stranger things have happened in motorcycle racing, especially at a circuit that we've never been to.
100%. And Michael White, his first full year in the championship, got Consortium Shipping on board as a sponsor for this year, really did attack it, and to be running 2nd in a very competitive championship like this is really a credit to him and the team. But out front, Shelley, he's got Udendal all over him, and Udendal, I don't think Oudendaal's even waiting there. I think Oudendal is trying everything
He's
he has.
attacking.
I think he's attacking. He's definitely
Yeah.
not sussing him out. I think Shelley is running an incredible pace out front.
Well, Shelley on his last pass of 55.3 as opposed to 54.5s. Fastest lap is the 54.5 out of Anthony Shelley. But yeah, I have to agree with you, Rob. There's definitely an attack coming from the Neolife powered Yamaha. So let's see whether or not he can do anything about the M-Tech Nashua Yamaha in front of him. The two R6s have now got away. Michael White probably won't do anything more than consolidate that third place. He's going to hope something goes wrong between the two Yamahas. That's probably what he's doing at this stage. He said, right, I've seen Baker go down. I've seen Boshoff go down. Hopefully nothing's going to happen between those two. There you can see Baker just into turn 6, ever so slightly late, in fact too late. Had to sit it up, got it a bit sideways just before he got it onto the grass, just to slow it down ever so slightly so it didn't fall over. And he's back on track and looks like he's only dropped one position.
Oudendal went in there and he had to adjust his position. It looked like he was going to hit into the back of Shelley there, so he had to really adjust his position. He hasn't lost too much, still in the slipstream of Shelley there, but that's just a sign of things to come as we head down into the later stage of this race. Shout out to Doran Loureiro. He's up into 5th position at the moment with Dylan Barnard just behind him. So great ride there from the two Kawasaki youngsters. But it's all about the Yamahas out front. Michael White is going to consolidate that 3rd. Blaze Baker will do well to consolidate 4th and pick up some good points. But watch the Shelley into turn 1, feet off the pegs, knee on the deck and going sideways. You can't get much better than that.
Whoa, both of the Yamahas had an incident through there. Both of them hitting a little bit of the tarmac that wasn't quite conducive to Yamaha grip, and both had to sit up pretty rapidly. I don't know if it was just Shelley that made Oudendal sit up, but they certainly both had issues coming out of turn 1 into turn 2. I was going to say, looking at the lap times on that last pass, they're now into the 55s, all 3 of the top 3. So they have started to feel the effects of this long race. With 5 or 4.5 laps to go now as they come to turn 6, it's going to be a really incredible finish to this race.
Greg, we've written off Michael White, but in the last lap, he's now in the same shot as them. Before, he was nowhere near. He's now in the same shot. So these guys could get into a battle. We've seen it before. You make the pass, you run wide. Michael White is not out of this just yet. He can stay there. He's already benefited from 2 mistakes. Can he benefit from more?
Well, I'm hoping that he can, because it'll just bring the points gap a bit closer between himself and Oudendal as we head into the final round. And that's, of course, on the 19th of September down at Desi's Raceway. Wow, we're going to be in for a great race down there. Top quality stuff expected in Port Shepstone, as they like to call it down there. But they're going to go all out, just like they're going to go all out here for these last 3.5 laps.
Anthony Shelley, I really need that R2.50, China, please. But he's doing a great job. It's like Oudendal said in the race 1, it's not easy being at the front. It really is not easy leading the race, but Shelley is doing it and at a hell of a pace. Oudendal is in prime position. He's sitting there. He knows exactly where Shelley is strong and weak. But at the moment, I don't even know if he thinks he's got a place to pass, because Shelley is so good on the brakes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter where he's weak, because he's so good on the brakes. He makes up for any weaknesses that bike and his riding style might have. And let's see if he can keep it all together now as we've completed 10. And we've got, well, incredible last 4 laps coming. But further back here, Daz Loureiro and Dylan Barnard. The battle of the Ds down into Discover Digital.
The two Kawasaki riders as well. And that was Loureiro on the brakes. And just again, what an amazing ride this is from Dylan Barnard. We've seen him improve so much from when he came into the championship a couple of years ago
100%.
to running at the lap times he's running and the position. It's amazing. Doran Loureiro, he's right up there as well. Still a youngster, still learning his training. He needs to stop looking behind him. That's what he needs to learn. But watch out for him in the European Cup Championship. He's already put in a couple of top 10 positions and even challenged for a podium at Donington Park. So when you watch World Superbikes, try and watch him in the support races of the World Superbike Championship.
Looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with that one. I can tell you Daz Loureiro is certainly a star of the future, that is for sure. But now, speaking of the stars of the future, the stars of today, definitely the two Yamahas. And right now, Shelley doing it all right. He's now got back into the 54s, and he's looking to try and pull a little bit of a margin. And in fact, it's a bike length. That might be just enough. Although, as I say that, it's closed under braking.
Michael White is definitely making slight inroads, but just not enough. It come down from 2.4 a couple of laps ago to 2 seconds. It's still a lot of time to make up there. You see the gap between Oudendal and Shelley. We don't need that to tell us how close it is on track. But I don't know which way this is going to go, Greg. Really, I think Oudendal is having to ride extremely hard to stick with the pace of Shelley.
Well, if you ask Steven Oudendal, you're going to want the win, because that's how he plays the game. However, at this stage of the season, and considering the fact that he has such a big lead, and looking back into the eyes of the man who's closest to him, I would rather finish ahead of Michael White than put it down somewhere on the track.
Michael White is definitely coming though. That's just a 10th here and a 10th here and a 10th here. But if he can get himself into a prime position coming into the last 3 laps, and these two ruffle each other up, White could capitalize, and we could see the man on the Kawasaki take his first win of the season. But having said that, none of these guys really want to give that top 2 position away. Odendaal is just shadowing Shelley, but Shelley doing such an amazing job out front. He's literally hitting the same marks every lap. He's getting it sideways the exact same. We've only seen 1 or 2 little errors from the guys. Otherwise, it's been plain say, oh, there, as I say that, a little bit of a moment there from Shelley, but they're still getting the best out of these Pirelli tires. Still in the 155s, high 154s.
Yeah, high 154 coming out of Michael White.
Look at Michael White.
That's the one I wanted to mention with you. 154.8 out of Michael White, and closing in the 1.5 second deficit. So with 2.5 laps to go, he still has a shot. It's only if these two start fighting like they're about to for the last couple of laps that possibly will slow them down even more. And if White stays on that pace, 2 laps is enough to bring him into contention for a possible win.
If Michael White could just get his start sorted out. He started from the front row of the grid in second place, went into turn 1 in 5th or 6th. You can't do that if you've got these kind of riders ahead of you. You've got to set off with him. He's showed he's got the pace to beat these guys, but he's not in a position to strike now with 2 laps to go. It's really between these two, but if Steven Odendaal puts a move like we know Steven Odendaal can, he's put on me plenty of times before, it really could play into Michael White's hands. So he's just got to sit there, keep doing what he's doing, keep closing that 10th or so down every single corner, and he'll be in with a shot.
Hope for the best. That's what it's all about as they head down the N4 Portable Shade Highway. Oh, and it's incredible stuff.
On the brakes, Odendaal's made it.
First time Odendaal's going to have a go here. Is he going to be able to make it stick? He runs. Oh, he's got it this time. He doesn't run wide, and he hangs on for the lead. So change up for the lead for the first time. That's the first time we've seen Pooch hit the front and actually make it stick. So it's Odendaal now with 2 laps to go. Crosses the line in the lead.
Right, now it's time for Shelley now to follow Odendaal for a while. Because, you know, Shelley's been leading the whole race. So maybe it's time for him to see. But there's nothing worse. It's like French kissing your sister, leading a whole race and being passed with 2 laps to go.
The sister's just been called up for duty. Round the outside comes Shelley. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. Odendaal forces him to the outside of the track, and now Shelley all over the back of Steven Odendaal.
Look at Michael White. Look at Michael White. It's down to 1.4. This is the closest he's been. These two are going to fight. Shelley is not going to give this up. I can tell you now. He will put that Yamaha, that M-Tech Yamaha, up on the inside, the Neolife Yamaha, with no problem. He will do it. Watch into this hairpin now. He's going to get the drive. Odendaal holds it nice and tight, but Shelley's going to sit in the slipstream, and Shelley's got to go. He cannot afford to give Odendaal too much time at the front, because Odendaal, we know, will stretch out, and there goes Shelley on the brakes. No, he's not going to. He might as well sit there, slipstream down the back straight. We know how good he is on the brakes on the back straight, and make the move there.
It's a case of returning the favor on Odendaal. The same spot Odendaal made the pass on him. He's got to hang tight for 1.5 laps and do the same thing. If he's able to do it into it, oh, it's going to be close between these two. Really, really incredible stuff between these two Yamahas as they come out of the Dogbone section. Dio Dogbone's seen some action today, as has the Discover Digital chicane. Are we going to see more of it at the closing end of the second Super 600 Championship race?
Oh, you could see the different lines. Steven Odendaal running those like Moto 2-ish lines. Wide swooping. Shelley slightly squaring the turns off a little bit more like 1000cc style. And that is really Odendaal's strong point, is that section of the track. He's pulled a little bit of a lead now, so I don't know if Shelley will have an answer. 54.5 that last lap round from Steven Odendaal. So really pulled the pin when he had to.
Yeah, incredible stuff there. His best lap is a 54.567. And here they come to cross the line for the penultimate time. 1 lap to go. Has Anthony Shelley got what it takes here to take on Odendaal for this final lap? He's lost 6-7 bike lengths. It's probably going to be enough there for Pooch to hang on. And I don't think Shelley is going to have an answer unless a mistake comes out of Odendaal. Highly unlikely the way that this young man has been riding this season.
Oh, Shelley is really doing everything he can. He's led the whole race up till now, so he really doesn't want to sacrifice it yet. This is the strong point of the track for Shelley. He really has a lot of faith in the front end. Oh, he gets on the gas a little bit too early, manages to control it, and he's got such bike control, Shelley. And look at Michael White, down to 1.2 now, but I don't know if it's enough. He's just mounted the challenge a little bit too late, but that little high side has really dented the chances now for Shelley to close on that man Odendaal.
Well, he's got to wait and hope for a mistake. In fact, he doesn't, because look at the corner speed and railing ability of that MTech National Yamaha. Looks back one final time to see where Magic Mike is. He's not worried about Mike at all. He is concerned about getting as late on the brakes into the hairpin as possible, and that's exactly what he's done. He's closed that 6 bike length gap down to about 3 bike lengths, make that 2, and as they come through the dog bone, make that 1.
Well, Shelley is coming, and he's coming fast. He looked behind him, saw he's got a safe second, and I'm sure he said to himself, right,
let's go for it.
Second, I said it earlier, it's like French kissing your sister. You know, no one wants to finish second.
That's
You're going to
not
go for the win, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's got it, but Stephen Odendaal has got the drive onto the back. A little moment there from Odendaal, so Shelley has closed the gap. He's got to square this corner off perfectly and get the drive and slipstream Stephen Odendaal and do it on the brakes. Anthony Shelley can do it. I have R2.50 on this, so please, Anthony Shelley.
Here we go. Slipstream 20 is what it's all about. Down the N12, Portable Shade Highway. And Odendaal has got to get this right. He's got great braking ability on the Yamaha, as has Shelley. Shelley going to come up right on him. It's a drag race to the line. Yamaha versus Yamaha. Odendaal's done enough, only just to beat out Anthony Shelley. Incredible dice here between the two Yamaha-mounted men. They come across the line. It's 0.1 of a second. 1/10 of a second between those two Yamahas to finish first and second, with Magic Michael White in third place.
You're not going to see better racing anywhere else in South Africa. That was true world-class racing. Stephen Odendaal saying, hey, my bad, sorry about that, but I had to let you lead the whole entire race, and then I passed you with 2 laps to go. But Anthony Shelley, what an amazing ride. Both, just an absolute amazing ride. Dylan Barnard picked up 6th place in the end, and looks like he's just made a mistake or something, because he's cruising to the line. Doran Lerero picked up 5th, just ahead of him. But much improved performance by that man, Dylan Barnard, this weekend. It's definitely the best pace we've seen out of the young man from the East Rand. And I've just been told that Dylan Barnard will pick up Rookie of the Day, so he'll go down to the podium ceremony there with Greg Maloney. So great ride there for there. We're going to take a look at the highlights of race number 2 of the Super 600 race. An absolutely amazing race, and it started really from the line. Stephen Odendaal getting the launch, but Anthony Shelley right on his tail. Michael White not making the start he wanted to from the front row of the grid, but it was Odendaal out front with Shelley just behind him. Adolf Boshoff was there in third, looking for a much improved race, and look at Shelley backing it in and holding the line, but Odendaal would chop it off. Shelley would then roll off the gas, adjust his line and stick it on the inside. It was sideways. Look at that smoke coming off the tires from Shelley. It was sideways action from the top 5. Unfortunately, Darian Kaiser had to pull out with more mechanical failures, as we saw in race number 1. But it was really about the two Yamahas out front, and Odendaal had the pace down the back straight, and he made the move on the brakes. Really late this time, you could see he just couldn't get the Neo Life bike stopped. That would allow Shelley back underneath him, and Adolf Boshoff and Blaze Baker and Michael White to close the gap. It would be Shelley to lead, and you could see smoke or something coming out of the Indy Oil bike of Boshoff, and maybe that would tell on this. That would happen later on in the race as he just loses the front end in turn number 3, and you could see the smoke coming out, and a very unhappy Adolf Boshoff there. But it was all the Yamahas out front. They would eventually pull away from Blaze Baker and Michael White. Baker making the mistake into the hairpin, unfortunately running off, handing the 3rd position to Michael White, and some valuable championship points for the man who's second in the championship. Out front, it was Stephen Odendaal and Anthony Shelley. Shelley setting the pace for most of the race, but unfortunately that Neo Life Yamaha was right on his tail. You could see having to take evasive action there on the MTech Nashua bike as he squared it off, got good drive. This really was the strong point of Stephen Odendaal. Big moment for both riders coming out of turn 1 as we wound down the laps. But with 2 laps to go, it was all about Odendaal. Further down the field, the Kawasaki battle of Doran Lerero and our rookie of the day, Dylan Barnard. And Barnard would go on to take 6th place for the day, with Lerero picking up impressive 5th. But down the back straight, and it was, watch this, Stephen Odendaal late on the brakes, sideways action. How he managed to outbrake Shelley there, I do not know, but he made the move stick. Shelley would not give it up without a fight though, and heading into turn 2, would stick it on the inside of Odendaal, who had the line for the left-hander turn 3 and managed to hold off the challenge of the MTech Nashua bike. And Odendaal would then really put his head down and put in a 54.5 and take his 2nd win for the day. We're going to go over to Greg in the podium to hand over to our top 3 riders.
I think we're down here at podium ceremony. Rob, thanks for taking us through the highlights there. Incredible race between the two Yamaha mounted riders. A couple of Kawasaki's thrown in for good measure at the start, and eventually at the end, only a couple of hundredths of a second behind. It's indicative of how this championship's been all season long, with the kind of dicing we've seen all day long here from the Super Juniors and Super 600s. The Super 600s probably putting on one of the best races of the season here, particularly between these two Yamaha-mounted men. But keeping the championship pretty much up and running, and still in with a shot heading into Desi's Raceway on the 19th of September. Let's get him up here. Consortium Shipping Kawasaki's Magic Michael White. In second place, and basically led the race right from start to finish. Only in the closing stages got bettered, but he's very happy with the second place, I'm sure, for his team. It's one step higher, and that's exactly what he's hoping for. Let's get Anthony Shelley up on the podium. From the MTech Nashua Yamaha stable, we move on to the Neolife powered by Yamaha stable. And once again, at the top of the podium, it's Pooch. Let's hear it for Stephen Uendal, ladies and gents. Joining them up on the podium as well, going to join the lovely Pirelli ladies, is going to be our rookie of the day, and that goes to Dylan Barnard after improving dramatically throughout the weekend. There it goes. Stephen Uendal is so good he uses the force to open up the champagne. Well done, bud. There you go. Third place going to be handed out by Mark from Pirelli. Thanks, Marky. It goes to Michael White. One more time for NGL Logistics. Quinton going to hand out to second place. Oh, no, it's Gugu. Okay, we've changed it up. Gugu Zulu from Gas Sports going to hand out to second place there. Anthony Shelley. And Quinton's going to hand out to... Oh, no. Sure, we're just swapping things around there. Hey, keeping me on my toes. Stephen Watson will hand out first place to Stephen Uendal. I will eventually get Quinton up from NGL Logistics. He's going to hand out the rookie to Dylan Barnard. Congratulations, guys. And I suggest you move out the way because it's about to get rowdy. Stay on the podium if you can. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah, that's what it's all about. All right, let's go and have a quick chat to our riders. First of all, Dylan, where did he disappear to? Because he didn't have any champagne, so he ran wide. Dylan? Dylan? Our rookie of the day today. All weekend long, Dill, we've been speaking about the fact that you've just got better and better and better, and it just keeps getting better every time we get on the bike, buddy.
Oh, no, I've been improving a lot. It's just feeling so much better than last Nationals. I don't know, it's just, the bike's just feeling awesome, and I'm improving every lap.
Heading down to a track that no one's been to before, so it's going to be a bit of a change up too. Hopefully you can run similar kind of pace at Desi.
Yeah, I hope so. There's a few guys that have practiced there, but most of the guys haven't practiced there yet, so it's a new track for everyone, so we'll see how it goes.
Good job, well done on the rookie stuff, awesome stuff. Let's get third place over here. Where did he disappear to? I know he's around here, Magic Michael White. Thanks, Mike. You can bring the dog along for the ride as well if you want to. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, I know he's going to bring the dog. He has to bring the dog. Come on in here. The good luck charm is maintaining its ability here. He's got a hell of a lot bigger than the last time we saw him, mate. Yeah, sit, please, if you don't mind. Don't eat my foot. Don't eat my con. All right. Mikey, it's been a bit of an up and down weekend. Didn't manage to get some good starts on you this weekend. Battled a bit off the line. But your race pace and your ability at the end is what's keeping you in this championship.
Yeah, you know, first race we got a good start, and as I turned to turn one, Dylan came up my inside and pushed me wide. So, but it's racing, it happens, and then I had to fight back, and then towards the end, the water started pumping up my radiator, so the bike overheated. So I just had to try to get to the end, score some points, and now the second race, so went from second to nowhere, and then just had to fight my way back. And yeah, big shout out to Consortium Shipping, Race Tech Exhaust, Motor Uno Racing, everyone, Aero Cannon, everyone. Thanks to my dad as well. It was a great weekend.
You looking forward to going down to Desi?
Yeah, we've never been there, so we're just going to wing it. We just see what we can do. I don't think we can win the championship unless Steven crashes, but it was a good go anyway, and well done to him.
Good job, well done. Let's get him in here. Second place, Anthony Shelley. Come and join us for a quick chat. Ant, you were looking to go one step higher. In fact, you were looking to go 2 steps higher, but one step is definitely better. But what a dice between the three of you.
Yeah, no, step by step we're getting there. And I was hoping for first. I was there the first few laps. But then the tires started wearing off and the pace slowed down a bit. And then Steven passed me, and then I thought, yeah, I'll go with Steven. And then he just passed me and he pulled the gap. And I tried to close on him and repass, but he was just too fast. I'd just like to say thank you to Ricky and the team once again, and all my sponsors and everyone that supported me today. Thanks a lot.
Awesome job, buddy. And looking forward to the next round at a circuit that no one's been to. I know you guys spent some time down there testing. How did it go?
Yeah, the Daisy Raceway is a lacquer track. I enjoy it. I think the racing's going to be tight there. There's hardly any place to pass there. And I think it's going to be good, huh?
Awesome job. We'll see you soon. Let's get Pooch in here. Thanks, Tini. Thanks for starting the engine in the middle of the interview, Tini. Tini from MTech Racing, that was. Okay. Near Life powered by Yamaha. Man alive, have you had a good weekend? And that's just going to prove well for a possible championship.
Yeah, no, I really had a great weekend, pole position and a double one. But first, I'd just like to say well done to the guys. You know, they rode really well, keeping me on my toes and shit. It was really hard. But you know, I just want to say thanks to the team and everyone that was behind me, because without them, none of this could have been possible. You know, just want to say thanks to everyone, and it was a great race weekend and good strategic planning for that second race. But luckily, I got the win, so full gas.
That's exactly it. Now, of course, we're not going to tell you about heading to Desi, because you've got more important things to do first and foremost. It's Jerez up for you next, if I'm not mistaken.
No, there'll be a race in Albacete. That's I go for testing. I leave on Monday, and then the test is during next week, and then the following weekend's a race. So I think I'm prepared, and I've done some good training here, and I think I'm ready for the victory there.
I think we're all ready for that one. We wish you all the very best, and we'll see you at Desi's Raceway on the 19th.
Thanks, bud.
The Diode SuperGP Champions Trophy is proudly brought to you by Digital Entertainment On Demand and their associate sponsors.